we still have a quorum.
Yes.
Yeah, and I want to try to get
Jump around when need.
Yeah, I want to try to get, I think I'm going to advance this so that you can be here for it. Let's call this meeting to order. Please rise and pledge the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Taylor, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Lyons,
Here.
Vice Mayor Stanley,
Here.
Commissioner White,
Here.
Mayor Morgan.
Here.
Let the record show that Commissioner Orthwein is absent. Also present are Town Attorney Randolph, Town Manager Thrasher, Staff Attorney Nazaro, and Acting Police Chief Allen.
Thank you. We've had an opportunity to review the minutes from our last meeting on October 14th. Any comments, changes, notes? Not, is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Here you go.
Commissioner Lyons,
Yes.
Commissioner Stanley,
Yes.
Commissioner White,
Yes.
Mayor Morgan.
Yes. Additions and changes to the agenda. I believe, given the fact that Ms. Orthwein is not here and Mr. Lyons needs to leave early, we're going to push public comment below the public hearing. So let's move public hearing to item 7 and communication with public to item 8. Our next meeting is December 9th at 9 a.m. Any commission members, you know at this time they will not be here. Very good. Okay, let's go to the public hearing. Any ex parte communications by commission?
Nope.
No? Anyone who wishes to speak today, please rise and be sworn.
Raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Okay, thank you. This is an application by Mr. Nunez.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Fernando Nunez. I'm an architect with Architectural Consulting and Design. I'm here to represent Mr. and Mrs. Isaacson in this project that they're proposing for your consideration. We've got an existing home that is CBS construction on the ground floor and some wood frame construction on the second. It's approximately 3,400 square feet. They're looking to maintain the majority of the existing structure and make some modifications to it to both suit their needs and at the same time to assist bringing it more into alignment with town code. The addition that they're looking to do, the majority of it is in the form of 2 concrete block structures that are going to be added on either side of the home. And they're going to convert the existing garage that's into the home into habitable air-conditioned space. And another modification to the existing shell is that they're going to push out on the second floor the envelope of the home to encompass a covered walkway that faces the intercoastal and convert it to air-conditioned space. I guess the first challenge that we looked at was the architecture of the existing home, and you can see in the pictures that it's, I guess in one word, bland. It's got a color palette that is more in line with Key West style. Some of the vertical siding, the scale of it also kind of pushes it towards that envelope, as well as some of these extended overhangs. And this is what we're proposing to do to transform the existing home into something that's a little bit more in tune with the times and the existing context and also with the town code. what we tried to do is, if you see this section here is the part of the proposed home that is for the most part existing today. As I mentioned before, this is an addition that we're doing on one side, and then this is the construction that we're proposing on the other. What we're doing to the back of the home, you can't see obviously, but this is where the existing garages are now. So then we've come in and you can't really tell from the rendering, but if you look at the hard-lined elevations, you'll see that on this portion of the home and on this area here, we're trying to incorporate some of the detailing of this Bermuda style architecture with their score lines, but they're scaled in a way that starts to resemble a little bit more of the coins that you find on the corners of the Bermuda style homes, as well as we incorporated this architectural element of the Bahama shutters to kind of give it a little bit more interest. We added a couple more windows to try to get some sort of semblance of balance, and we couldn't really achieve symmetry, but we tried to give it a little bit more interest, and as well as, you know, kind of finish off the ends of the homes. So I guess you could consider these massings kind of functioning as bookends. And then we decided to pull back the overhangs as well, which is also another feature that's consistent with Bermuda architecture. Overhangs usually foot and a half, maybe 2 feet. The existing overhangs were 3 to 4 feet, some cases almost 5. And then finally was the color palette. We tried to do something that kind of brought it into a little more conformity with the existing color palette in the neighborhood, while, you know, making it unique and attractive, which was ultimately the goal, to take the existing home, make it functional, and give it a little bit of interest so that it becomes more of an asset to the existing neighborhood. And that's my brief presentation.
Questions?
There's a demolition permit that is requested. What exactly would be demolished from the existing structure?
I guess the focus of, there's going to be some minor selective demo on the existing home itself, obviously for new penetrations, openings, and things of that sort. But as far as waste and debris being knocked down and hauled off the site, I think most of it is focused on the back of the house, where they've got all these wood-framed stairways and things like that, just like we have at the main entry. Those also are elements that you see here. And in the back of the house, this picture kind of covers it a little bit, but I guess it's a lot of the add-on features to the exterior of the shell of the existing structure that we're going to be tearing down. And obviously the entry feature now is an open stairway, uncovered. The new proposed project has an enclosed stair core in the back of the house. Similarly, we're going to remove all these wood-framed Key West style elements, and they're going to become elevated decks and things like that that are going to be part of the new design of the home, the, you know, architectural character of it.
Okay, so it won't be any of, it's just auxiliary structures more or less?
Sure.
Yeah,
Yep.
there's nothing
Mhm.
with the main structure?
Right, we're not knocking down any building,
Mhm.
any air-conditioned space or anything like that.
Can you go over the materials on the, on your new elements, the garage doors? You've got 3, I'm confident I know what they are, but you can go over them again. And then also the, you know, you've got it's not a 2-story entry, well, 2-story entry feature, which meets code, you know, it's separated. It looks like you've got some sort of shiny brick or material on there, and then it's carrying over to the rear of the home too.
Yeah, I think the garage doors themselves, I don't think we've nailed down whether or not it's going to be a metal or a wooden product at this time. But it is going to be a painted
Right.
element, and it's
That looks like
we had colors.
It's metal to me, or metal siding that comes up with a little bit of shine. There's house, which is very nice on the Intracoastal and Palm Trail, that's got many of these elements, which is kind of what I'm throwing back to in my mind, although it's not, typical of this neighborhood.
This is the color palette, and it's the stone material.
If the most part, the home is 95% just painted color.
Okay.
We are adding some
So there's a
texture.
natural stone there, okay.
Right, and then that's what we're using to clad the columns. And in some places, it's used just as accent in these horizontal bands in between the two vertical columns. The rest of the home is essentially just painted along with the fascia. We've got the roof tile, which is exhibited here, and then we've got the pavers. You see they're laying horizontally, and then the awnings, which is a very typical, not anything out of the norm. It's,
I take it the design and window elements are all grandfathered in?
In the rear of the
They
home?
examined that as well, so.
in the rear of the home?
Yes.
And those are pre-existing, with all those windows?
Yes, the existing home, and
I actually drove over it today, but I didn't want to go in the backyard, so I
it's okay. Yeah, I mean, that's the appeal of the home. That's, the uniqueness of it. That's what makes it attractive. That's a big part of why the Isaacsons purchased the home, is the view of the Intercoastal and the openness of the common area, the family space. And that's what sits behind all this storefront, or all this glazing, and the kitchen sits behind that glass there. The ground floor, which is essentially what I had mentioned before, that they're going to obviously remove the sliding glass doors and the walls, and it's gonna get pushed out about 5-6 feet. And all that's gonna be done per town code requirements and percentage of openings and that sort of thing. The second floor facing the Intercoastal, that, it would be a large undertaking and frankly would take away from the inherent value of the home, which is basically the view and the openness that it has towards the Intercoastal. We're proposing to replace the glass with storefront glass, impact rated, so that it makes it, a little bit more attractive, but at the same time brings it up to current code in regards to its impact resistance.
So my perception is you're taking a pre-existing home with certain design elements and just updating it. Is that a fair?
Yeah, we're trying to make modifications to it, because we're wrestling between the ideal town code and the ideal design of the home versus the character that the home has already.
And I appreciate that.
Right, yeah.
Because I saw in the minutes for your presentation in front of the Architecture Review and Planning Board, that you're trying to make it look like, more like a Bermudian. But if I drove by this house after it's completed, that's not how it's gonna project to myself.
Well, I mean, right.
I'm just like,
Yeah.
but I
No,
understand,
understood,
you're starting
understood.
with an existing
Sure,
set of lines and a
Sure.
structure,
yeah,
and you're trying to do what you can with it as opposed to raising.
sure. Ideally, a Bermuda style home is perfectly symmetrical, the short eaves, you see the nice molding under the soffits, the concrete roof tiles, the long vertical windows, the muttons, and if we adhered strictly to that in what we're proposing as an addition and kept the character of the home, then it would seem very, I'd say, it wouldn't be cohesive, it wouldn't look as,
Doesn't look good.
yeah, it would look like something that was sitting there and something we came and added after the
It's like
fact.
a
So,
K-pitch fenestration on the front of this house
Right.
right now.
so we definitely made the attempt to incorporate as much as we could the current requirements while still trying to not remove the character of the home in terms of, again, the views. I mean, like I mentioned, what faces the street is very bland and we have a lot of flexibility on what we can do there, but in terms of bringing it all together as one style, It's definitely a mixture between, you know, existing versus ideal Bermuda, and we're kind of in the middle somewhere.
Just for reference, staff believes that this house is other various based on our categories, and with the modifications and renovations, it will still be other various.
Comments from neighbors? Yes, Mr. Snape?
We have there here.
Shoot, where you'd like to go, maybe
Yeah, step up.
step up so we can hear you a little better.
He wasn't sworn in.
Oh, were you not sworn?
I was not sworn in, you better
Oh,
be
man,
careful
raise
there.
raise that arm.
Swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help
You
you God.
bet. Just as a comment, I'm Chet Snavely, President of the Homeowners Association, Plaza Select. The house that currently exists, the architecture, I think, is most reminiscent of what we used to call an upside-down New Jersey shore house. So, looking at the materials they're using and the quality of structure you're going to end up with, you're going to go from a upside-down New Jersey shore house to a quasi-Bermuda style house. So I think you're making a big improvement, and the neighborhood is all in favor of this, and we support Brian and his wife. Okay?
Good. Other comments?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I live directly across the street from this property, and some might say that I'm probably impacted more by it than anyone else in town. And having said that, I encourage you to approve the application. I think it's beautiful. I think the people have put a lot of effort into it. While it doesn't conform to the cookie cutter houses that the town typically likes to see built, I think it's the best solution for what they have to work with on this property. And quite frankly, I'm looking forward to living across the street from it for years to come. However, the town passed an open front lawn ordinance, which I think most people consider as FUBAR. And it basically made everyone in town, everyone in Plaza Soleil, non-conforming. Ms. White's house, just about everybody else, including my own house, is non-conforming, including this house. And I know non-conforming uses can't be extended or enlarged, according to 66-131. Now, I know the town went to the effort of asking the consultant, Mr. Minor, to review this house for conformity with the open front lawn ordinance. And he wrote, "This recommendation to approve is consistent with the open front lawn requirement that homes in Plaza Soleil have 75% of their plants lower than 3 feet." It's a crazy ordinance. And obviously this doesn't conform with that. So my question is, but I think that's a crazy ordinance because I like this home, and I wish they had more plants. I love the landscaping on the house. So my question is, was an actual calculation made that you know exactly how many plants are over 3 feet tall? Because the last 4 applications that were approved in Plaza Soleil completely ignored this ordinance. And if the ordinance is going to ignore it, why don't you just get rid of it? So my comment on this is, please approve this project, but I would like to ask, was a calculation ever made as to exactly how many plants are over 3 feet tall in the front yard?
You're reading from
I'm sorry?
you're reading from a council report?
I'm reading from Marty Miner's
Exactly.
memorandum.
Exactly.
He says,
Does he say it's consistent with the ordinance?
I'm sorry.
Does he say it is consistent with the ordinance?
You think this is consistent with the ordinance?
Does the consultant report that it is consistent with the ordinance?
Yes, but he makes no calculation. It's been the town's opinion, especially Mr. Randolph's and Mr. Thrasher's, that if a consultant doesn't provide you with the numbers to how he reached that conclusion, then it's not acceptable to the town. My own engineer letter was rejected because there were no calculations. I'm just asking, were calculations made to determine that this is in compliance with the ordinance?
Would you like us to table this application, Mr. O'Hare?
I'm sorry.
Would you like us to table this application?
No, not at
So
all. I'd
that
like
we
to
could
approve it. I'm
address
just
the
asking
point
you
that
part
you
of the
made?
review process.
No, I think it has been evaluated and reported by an independent consultant that it's consistent with our ordinance. Now, if you are requesting that we table this matter, and redo it, I'd like to hear you make that request.
No, absolutely not. I like these people, I look forward to seeing this house built, and I hope you approve it. I just would like you to pay attention to your own ordinances.
Thank you. Anyone else care to speak?
Yes.
Sir?
This has nothing to do with architecture. My name is Miguel Neumann. I live at Plaza Soleil. I would like to commend Officer Robert Pyle for his very professional and nice help he gave one of our neighbors who had paramedic distress last week or 10 days ago. So we called 911 and he was the first responder. We were at the house at that time. It's a neighbor within Plaza Soleil, I won't say who. And he showed up and was very professional, very kind. And a couple of minutes later, the paramedics themselves came. That's it.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any other comments on the application before us? Yes, Mr. Martinez?
Yes, good morning, everyone.
He wasn't sworn.
Have you been sworn?
No, I have not been sworn in.
Swear to tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you, Ruth. Sorry I was a little late, and I'm actually up here for a couple of reasons too. Number one, the Dream Team basically came up here and talked about it. They're like a Mercedes-Benz. I'm a Ford Pinto when it comes to this, and I'm actually eager to see this home come up in our neighborhood. Also, we completely support it. Thanks for the extra work you put into it, Chet, and Mr. O'Hare, thank you also for looking at additional details to really kind of help our neighborhood get better. And that's the whole theme here. I think if all of us can just find better ways to get better, it's just gonna make living in Plaza Soleil and over here in Gulfstream good. And I know you guys are doing a phenomenal job. I do want to take an extra moment to. I know we obviously. All of us in this room are aware that Chief Ward is not feeling up to speed, and I want to commend Lieutenant Allen and the whole police department. I know Officer Tyler just obviously did a really good gesture out there, but the police department has been just unbelievable during the past year, and I know obviously you had some big shoes to step in, so we really appreciate your efforts, Lieutenant Allen, with the Dream Team you got out there. You guys are the lifeblood of Gulfstream. Interacting with us every single day. Aside from that, I want to thank everybody up here for all your hard work, contributions. Again, you really don't deserve a pay raise this year or next year. Most important, we're coming up to the holidays. We're all blessed with a lot of different things. Just keep our prayers for some of the folks also that live in Gulfstream that have had some health issues recently. And for HIPAA reasons, I'm not going to mention their names. But again, just wanted to thank everybody up here and welcome to the neighborhood.
Okay. Any other comments on the application before we?
On the application?
On the application.
On the application, I'd like to make an additional comment.
Yes, sir.
I want to state that Mr. and Mrs. Isaacson are actually in love with their house as it exists. They think it's a beautiful home, and it has beautiful opportunities for them. And because of that, I think that I'd like to acknowledge and respect the decision to try to save and improve on this house.
Thank you. We have before us several motions relative to the application. The record reflect that Mr. Lyons had to leave with notice at 9:30. Do we have any motion?
Okay, motion. This is in regard to the application for 2500 Avenue Al Soleil. The first motion for this project is a motion to recommend approval of the demolition permit.
Second?
Ms. Taylor?
Vice Mayor Stanley,
Yes.
Commissioner White,
Yes?
Mayor Morgan.
Yes. Next motion?
Next motion in regard to application 016-10 2500 Avenue Al Soleil is a motion to recommend approval of the land clearing permit as submitted.
Second?
Ms. Taylor?
Vice Mayor Stanley,
Yes.
Commissioner White,
Yes.
Mayor Morgan.
Yes. Next motion?
Next motion in regard to the same application is a motion to recommend approval of a special exception to permit the extension of a non-conforming west wall to dwelling as per section 70-75C.
Second,
Mr. Taylor?
Vice Mayor Stanley,
Yes.
Commissioner White,
yes.
Mayor Morgan.
Yes. Final motion.
Motion to recommend approval of level 3 architectural site plan based on a finding that the proposed construction of a 2,355 square foot addition to the existing two-story single-family dwelling meet the minimum intended design manual and applicable review standards with the following condition. One condition, that plans be submitted to the Plaza Soleil Homeowners Association for review and comment prior to public hearing to be held by Town Commission on November 10, 2016. I believe that was done.
That was.
Okay, that's completed.
Second,
Ms. Taylor?
Vice Mayor Stanley.
Yes.
Commissioner White,
yes.
Mayor Morgan.
Yes. Congratulations.
All right, thank you.
very much.
I don't know who to have.
All right, we're going to move back. Any other public communication? Anybody else wish to speak? Sir?
Leave it, just put it back against the wall if you would.
Better swear me in, young lady.
Swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
And give your name.
Okay, I will. Good morning, I'll be very brief. My name is Bill Spengler. I live in Plaza Soleil, I've been there about 3 years. I've recently, and this is a dubious distinction, gone on the board of the community, working with Chet. I think, I'm not sure really where to start with this, but one of the things that became evident to me over time is that it's not clear to me how the community or the town actually spends money in Plaza Soleil. I don't know what our budget is related to that. I don't know how funds get allocated to that. I think it somewhat started with a question I asked Bill by email, and he was really nice at responding, where I said, look, the streets, or the roads seem to need repaving. Some of the curbs are kind of breaking down. When do we do that? Bill nicely answered me back, we don't have any money in the budget for that this year, perhaps we'll look at it next year. We then had a rather odd circumstance where we have, as many of you know, kind of a weathered home as you just walk into drive into our entrance at first, and it happens to be infested with a number of critters. As an example, we have a pack of raccoons back there. I think Chet asked, is there any money to go and get the raccoons out of there? No, there's no money for that. The point is not the specifics. The point is more, is there a process, or will you guys consider engaging in a process where we in Plaza Soleil understand what is coming into the budget and how it's being used specifically with respect to Plaza Soleil? Just a question. If it's already being done, then just show me where it is and we'll take a look. If it's not, will you give that some consideration?
Yeah, normally these are not Q&A
Oh, oops.
times.
Is my protocol
However,
out of order?
No, not really.
Okay.
This is not a question and answer. It's not where we get
Oh,
back.
I understand. You don't need to
But
respond.
with
Yeah.
respect, these are matters that have been brought up by both parts of the town.
Okay.
Plaza Soleil and the core and other areas in the town. It's nothing, both items you
Not
mentioned
novel,
are
right?
not novel or unique
Okay.
to Plaza Soleil. And typically, those items are brought to the attention of the mayor or the town manager or the other commissioners and discussed at budget meetings, planning meetings,
All right, so
to try to address them.
when is the 2000s? This is not Q&A, right?
Yeah, we
Just for
had
the
the
heck of it,
budget.
you've engaged.
Budget was just approved.
Pardon me?
The budget was just approved.
Just approved.
Yeah.
So could I, again, not Q&A, but could I go to a budget that's somewhere which would show me how much is being spent on Plaza Soleil and how that's being done?
You can go over it with Mr. Thrasher, but really, we don't itemize between neighborhoods. We have a number of neighborhoods in this town,
Yeah,
each
okay.
with their own designated criteria. The town collects ad valorem taxes. The town prepares a budget for the town itself.
Okay.
While there may be some distinct payments for particular things, it's not as if we're budgeting for the curbs in the
I
south
would
part
even
of town.
understand that as
It's
long
not
as
done
you
that
could
way.
tell from that that Plaza Soleil is part of it or is not part of it, that kind of thing. As long as you could see concretely what was being spent in that particular neighborhood, because it's a very odd situation in that it's the non-contiguous neighborhood, right? So
It's really not. Frankly,
Okay.
the south part of town is very distinct from the core. You're correct, the Plaza Soleil being separated by a body of water
Right.
and having, Boynton and Del Rey on,
Right.
around it is somewhat different, but it's something I'd be happy to talk with you about.
Okay, well, it clearly now's not our magic moment.
Exactly,
You know?
exactly. But I
But I thought I'd give it a
appreciate,
shot.
appreciate
you
your
know?
comment.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. O'Hare.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear, is this the public comment
Yes.
portion? Okay. About 5 times over the last few years, I brought to the town's attention that social security numbers were published online for all the police officers, Mr. O'Donnell there, Ms. Taylor. And the last time I did that in October, it took a week for them to finally be redacted offline. Now, as you know, publishing a policeman's or anyone's social security number is a crime. Now, it took a week last time, so this time when I found 8 pages that have been online since, according to the metadata, almost a year, I took it to the state attorney and the inspector general. And lo and behold, they were redacted the next day. So I guess that's the way I gotta do it. But what I'd like to comment on, I know you're not gonna answer any of my questions, is can't you just go through the online records and get rid of all the social security numbers? There can't be that many of them. My second comment is, Mr. Mayor, you wrote a letter to the editor in Mary Kate's fine publication, and you said, well, Boyle's settlement demand, however, was so outrageously high that the town concluded it was in its best financial interest to go to trial. I don't know if that's true or not, because that's information at a confidential settlement mediation and in your executive session. So I'd like to suggest to you that you don't, let me back up a second. I did a public record request for any public record that you might have based that comment on, and Ms. Taylor tells me there's no such records. So I'd just like to suggest you don't disclose confidential information. Thank you.
I appreciate your advice, Mr. O'Hare. I truly do. Anyone else wish to speak? If not, let's move on to reports. The undergrounding report, Mr. Brandon is not here. I will update you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, did someone else wish to
I
speak?
thought so.
Okay.
No, clear.
Another issue. We have a report from Mr. Brannon that we have 18 streetlights going in along A1A with the undergrounding. There are additional costs associated with FPL having to run conduit to, I believe, 7 of those lights by directional boring. Normally they would just trench to do it. That's no cost, but the directional boring and installation of conduit requires an additional cost because we need to preserve the Australian pine trees along A1A. That cost is $11,530.49. It's a legitimate charge and one that the town needs to pay. That's the update on the lighting. The surveying reports in the town indicate that the project is moving very smoothly. Conduits have been installed, I believe, on the side street off Polo. That may be completed by now. If not, it will be shortly. And then they'll move on to the larger boring down the major roads in the core town. But things are on track and moving along well. Next report. Public records compliance report. Mr. Nazar.
Good morning, Commissioners. So I've prepared this report for your review in accordance with the Public Records Compliance Program that was approved by the Commission 2 years ago, which I had a part in helping the attorneys at Jones Foster and getting that all set up when I was working for Jones Foster for the town. The compliance report tracks the items to report from the Public Records Compliance Program in the same format as reported last year by Kelly Avery when she was here. It includes, in accordance with reporting compliance of the Town Commission, changes to Florida's public records laws. There was a recent article in the Florida Bar Journal that discusses some of the changes that impact contractors. However, it says that there will be no relief for agencies such as the town. And I included that as part of this report because it does reference the town of Gulfstream and the situation that we're dealing with, and saying that is an example of intentional misuse of the Public Records Act. So that was just submitted for your review. With respect to the policies and procedures that the town is following, the last 2 years, it is held up very well. So there's no changes with respect to the way the town is responding to public records requests. However, the attachments that are included as part of the Public Records Compliance Program have been updated with respect to attachments A and B. That was a sample acknowledgement letter and a sample request for clarification letter if the public records request was unclear and a records custodian needed additional information to make sure that the proper documents were provided. So those have been updated to provide a link online to the request in accordance with, over the past year, how the town has shifted from emailing to providing a link with our online software and records management program so everyone can see the actual request that's being made and all the responsive documents as well. So that's how the town is doing it now, so that was just updated to reflect that. Attachment C has also been updated, which is the actual cost of duplication. That was the subject of litigation in which the town prevailed, and it was upheld on appeal. So it uses the same formula, excuse me. It's just been updated to reflect the 2015-2016 fiscal year actual cost of duplication figures.
Questions? Mr. Nazaro? Thank you very much for your thorough report. Next, Town Manager, FEMA reimbursement disaster declaration.
Just to report that I and Acting Chief Allen attended a FEMA Public Assistance Grant Program. It was the applicant briefing session. Although we had no damages to homes or debris, we did have certain costs associated with preparation. So there is a specific procedure to follow in regards to requesting reimbursement. This meeting was to help us get in the right alignment of requesting reimbursement. Acting Chief Allen will be the lead person in regards to receiving and responding to these further activities. Sometimes they can go on for 5 to 7 years after the event. So I will be the alternate, Chief Allen will be the primary, and he's agreed to that. He's doing an excellent job keeping me in line in such matters. So
Approximately how much money?
approximately $20,000 we've expended for food, for equipment placement, and for overtime. And we'll get 87.5% of that. It is possible to receive 87.5% of that cost from FEMA.
Very good. Questions? All right. The next Architectural Review and Planning Board meeting is November 17th at 8:30 a.m. if anybody wishes to attend. Town Manager, financial report for October.
You have a report. I try to answer any questions that you might have, or just comment that this is the first month of the new fiscal year, so the report itself doesn't have a lot of material information to it that we can manage from. But it is the financial report.
Understood. Questions? If not, Acting Chief Ward, police report for October.
I request that the monthly activity report be accepted as submitted, no changes or additions.
I will accept that as submitted. Thank you, Chief. You may recall last month there was an application by Mr. Ganger for reimbursement of legal fees incurred as a result of the litigation and his deposition during his illness. We received a letter dated October 28, 2016 from Mr. Ganger writing to rescind and draw his previous request for partial reimbursement of legal fees incurred while serving as vice mayor of Gulfstream. ARPB is in need of an alternate member. I've talked to a few people. There is some interest from Mandy Jones, who had previously served on the board, and she has been off for the requisite period of time and has expressed an interest. The two of you have comments or
I
suggestions?
served on ARPB with Amanda. She was very knowledgeable and, I thought she,
Yeah, I think she was on the board when I was on it, too.
Okay.
She had cycled out. I think she's very thorough, understands detail.
Well, then, with that, we need a motion?
Yes, we do.
Is there a motion to appoint Mandy Jones as first alternate on the Architecture Review and Planning Board?
Make a motion as stated for Amanda Jones for ARPB, the alternate position.
a second.
Ms. Taylor?
Vice Mayor Stanley?
Yes.
Commissioner White?
Yes.
Mayor Morgan?
Yes. All right, we move to Resolution 16-11, which deals with Construction Site Management Handbook. Mr. Nazar.
Last month, the commission asked or discussed some of the issues with storms and construction site, and asked what we should investigate, what should be done, what would be possible and practical as far as securing these sites. I've reviewed some of the local municipalities and Broward County as well, and how they've dealt with this issue. So the resolution tracks a lot of that language used by these governmental entities, including the town of Palm Beach, and also quickly ran it by Mr. Randolph, who provided input as well.
And in essence, the resolution will give the town emergency authority to take independent unilateral action to remove potentially dangerous debris at the time of a storm announcement, should it not be done by the contractor or homeowner. Is that an accurate summary of it?
Yes, sir.
Very good.
I'd like to read it by
Yes,
title.
please. Okay.
A resolution of the Town Commission of the Town of Gulfstream, Palm Beach County, Florida, amending the Construction Site Management Handbook, which was authorized by ordinance number 95/4 at Article 4, Rules and Regulations, so as to provide for removal of construction materials and debris during a tropical storm and hurricane warning or watch, and providing for an effective date. It's presented for adoption this 8th day of November 2016. 10th, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Little
Sorry,
quiet
what
today.
day?
The 8th is sticking in your mind.
Yes.
10th day of November
That's all right.
2016. With that modification, resolution number 16-11 has been proposed for adoption. Is there comment?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'm envisioning that in order to be prepared just prior to a tropical storm warning for a contractor to come in on the town's behalf on the basis of probable cause and enter private property and actually remove material, that you will have a contract with that contractor that indemnifies the town for any damage that contractor might cause, because I envision the town being on the hook for quite a lot of liability if the contractor does something that, the contractor for the town does something that the homeowner thinks jeopardizes their property and maybe cause further damage in the storm. So I would just suggest that when Mr. Randolph reviews that contract for legal sufficiency, that it does have an indemnification and liability assumption clause to protect the town and the homeowners from your actions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O'Hara. Resolution 16-11 has been presented for adoption.
Motion to approve resolution number 16-11 as stated.
Second.
Ms. Taylor?
Vice Mayor Stanley?
Yes.
Commissioner White?
Yes.
Mayor Morgan?
Yes. Okay, we have resolution 16-12, number of resolutions today, and this is regarding NPDES fourth cycle permit interlocal agreement. Mr. Thrasher, would you just touch on this?
Yes, briefly, this is a federal mandate that we report and enter into an interlocal agreement with Northern Palm Beach County Improvement District. They are the lead applicant, and we have done this throughout the entire cycles, through all the cycles with Northern. And it's been reviewed by our attorney, and I recommend that we adopt and approve.
And that's adopted by resolution 16-12, is that correct? Would you read the title, please?
A resolution of the Town of Gulfstream, Palm Beach County, Florida, approving and authorizing execution of an NPDES fourth cycle permit interlocal agreement with Northern Palm Beach County Improvement District, who is the lead permittee. And it's presented in regular session, assembled this 10th day of November 2016.
Resolution number 16-12 has been presented for adoption. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve resolution 16-12.
Second?
Ms. Taylor?
Vice Mayor Stanley?
Yes.
Commissioner White?
Yes.
Mayor Morgan?
Yes. We move on to resolution 16-13 regarding budgeting appropriations. Mr. Thrasher?
Yes, this is a budget appropriation for fiscal year ending 9/30/2016. Our auditors a couple of years ago have required that we keep track of the permitting dollars that basically flow to Delray Beach. And the amount of permits that were issued on the town's behalf or for the town last year was $480,797, and requires a budget adjustment because that department would be over budget. So this budget adjustment is for $200,798.
Questions? Ms. Taylor? Read that resolution, please.
A resolution of the Town Commission, Town of Gulfstream, Florida, providing for the appropriations of budget revenues and expenditures in the general fund for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2016, providing an effective date. And be it resolved by the Town Commission, the Town of Gulfstream, Florida, that the following reapportionments be made. That's the miscellaneous services for building inspections as the expenditure, $200,798, and the inspection fee, which is the revenue, $200,798. It's presented for adoption this 10th day of November 2016.
Resolution number 16-13 has been presented for adoption. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve resolution 16-13.
I second?
Ms. Taylor?
Vice Mayor Stanley?
Yes.
Commissioner White?
Yes.
Mayor Morgan?
Yes. We move on to items by the commission. Any items by Vice Mayor or Ms. White?
Just have one quick comment. The undergrounding's going through on the core, which the mayor just mentioned, so we are getting some comments, and I think staff is too, when you get an improvement or a transformer or something being located on the street. I've advised everybody, when in the common procedures, if you have a question or an issue or a problem, call the town hall. You can certainly call any one of us by phone. We'll point you in the right direction if we don't know the answer to your question. Things will come up as this keeps moving and this gets done.
Other comments? I have one, Mayor.
I'd like to say something about the underground. I think my mom does too.
Sure.
You need to get sworn in now.
No, you don't.
There you go.
Now, this is a quasi judicial, this is public comment.
Good morning, I am Sheila Scott, and I live at 2910 Gulfstream Road. I've lived there for 31 years. I'm very familiar with you guys and a lot of you here. And I'm most concerned about the underground wiring, as a lot of people are on Gulfstream Road. We are a mess. and we've been that way now for a long time. And it's been 2 weeks since we've seen anybody working on all these things that are coming out of the ground, the pipes right across from my house. Most unattractive. It's the beginning of the season, everybody's coming down. It's just very upsetting. I don't think that when I put up my money and I paid for this, I was told that they were gonna use the easement to bring the wiring through, because I'm right on that easement, which can be done very simply, except that we now have a new company doing the upper part of this procedure, and so therefore, they don't wanna do it that way. So I'm gonna have a great big green box right across from my entranceway, which they say will be landscaped. But you have to get into that box to repair anything, and so part of it has to be open, and the open part is going to be facing Gulfstream Road, which faces my house, which isn't very attractive. So now they're telling me that they're going to have to go all the way through my front yard to where my electrical box is to hook up to this thing, and whatever they have to dig up or take out, they will replace. Well, you know what replacement means anywhere in Gulfstream. It takes forever. I don't know why they changed this. There's a perfectly good way to go through the easement, put the boxes back there, attach them to your electrical box on your house, and not have all of this digging up of Gulfstream Road. Just drive down the street. It looks dreadful. And it could be done so simply. And I don't know why they are changing all of this and putting us through this. The next thing that's gonna happen is, and he told me, part of my front yard is gonna be dug up. And I did not pay the dollars I paid to have that done. That was not the way it was supposed to be done. Anyway, my son, Brad, had a plan of how it could happen, if you'd like to hear from him, about putting the boxes in the easement and attaching those houses all the way up the easement to boxes in there, instead of the way they're gonna do it now. And we don't get any reports. Nobody's been, I've even come up and spoken to my dear friend Rita, and she assured me that when they're through, things will be taken care of. Well, that might be next year, and I don't think I'm gonna be here. But I'd like to see this happen soon. This is just a mess. And I'd love to have my son speak to tell you his plan, if you'd like to listen to it, because I think it makes a lot of sense. And, you know, go through the easement. Would you like to hear from him, my son Brad?
Sure, we don't have the detailed involvement in
Who's
the actual
in charge
underground.
of this?
What I'd like to do is get Brad's phone number. I'm gonna have Danny Brannon, who is our consultant on the project and knows it intimately, give you a call.
That would be
I think
great.
it'd be much more helpful than talking to us.
That would be fun.
Okay, would you please, you don't have to do it here, get me after the meeting, okay?
Okay, well, thank you for
Certainly
listening
share
to
your
me.
concern.
But if anybody lives on Gulfstream Road that's here today, and you look at what we're looking at every single day, I tried to get down Polo the other day, and I had to turn around in somebody's driveway because of all these pipes that were all over the road, and dirt and trucks and everything else. It's not good. So I hope that this will be taken care of, and you'll listen to Brad, and I thank you for listening to me.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Any comments? I recently received a letter from our town manager tendering his resignation effective April 28th of 2017, thanking this commission for the opportunity of serving the town and its residents over the 20-odd years that he has been our town manager. I'm sure I speak for the commissioners. If Joan were here, I'm sure she would echo my comments, but working with Mr. Thrasher has been an educational experience and, I must say, a pleasure. There are few dedicated public servants, as in, over the years that he has been serving this town, serving selflessly, I might add, hours on night, hours on the weekends, during any call for his action, he is there, spending time away from his family, away from his wife, due to his own personal belief in serving this town. I have been very impressed by his action. This town has benefited mightily from Mr. Thrasher's service here. He has worked and knows all of the town managers of the local towns on Barrier Island and across the water. He has worked with West Palm Beach and Tallahassee. He has worked handling the regulatory morass that we must go through as a municipality, both in the county, the state, and, as you heard today, with the federal government. And he has done it very well. He has saved us a lot of money, and he has made a very efficiently run town. Gulfstream is a model town. I think we all can agree on that. And it is a model of quality of life. It's a model for municipal efficiency and for financial stability, and to that we owe in no small part to your efforts, Bill. I've had the opportunity as mayor to see Bill Thrasher manage this building, this office, with the clerk staff, the police department, and I can tell you that he has their loyalty, and he has their loyalty because he is a good manager. He is someone who is fair but firm, but he's considerate and respectful. And for that, I have always noticed that he has a strong relationship with staff and their loyalty, and that speaks volume about your managerial skills, Bill.
Thank you.
I can tell you personally that while I appreciate your wanting now to spend time after all these years with your wife, to give to her the time that you gave to us, I personally will miss your advice and your professional counsel. And all I can say is thank you and job well done.
Thank you.
Okay, and with that, meeting's adjourned. We need to sign resolutions.
Mayor, can I say something on behalf of Mr. Thrasher?
Of course.
You know, Mayor, I agree with you 100%, and you said it all very eloquently what Bill Thrasher has done for us. As the previous president of the Homeowners Association, I can tell you we didn't see eye to eye on everything, but we made each other better, and we made the town better. But nobody has more passion for this town than Bill. He was at our meetings late at night. You know, he did whatever it took, and he did it the right way. And you know, we're gonna miss you. Your years of contribution have been phenomenal. And all of us as homeowners, when I walk up and down the streets of Gulfstream, you know, I look at every street, I say to myself, there's not a better town in this country than this one. And you're just part of it, and you know, there's going to be some serious big shoes to fill. But you know, just another quick point, we also have another golden person here, Rita Taylor, who's, you know, I think the combination of the two of them are just unbelievable. But Bill, we wish you the best in whatever you do, and really thank you so much. I think probably you're the longest standing town manager. You know, I don't know the statistics, but I'm sure it's probably anywhere in the country. Your contributions are seen every day when we all walk up and down the streets, and the way the police department and everybody works. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, we have the original of these resolutions.
Yes.
It's finished.
Save it 10 hours.
Give me an address, phone number.
His name's Dan.
Dan Brandon?
Is he on site sometime?
Sometimes, he's handling projects all over the place, but I'll give you his number as well.
Okay.
I'll call you